Thank you, Isabella, Joseph, and Joe. It was beautiful. I'm next honored to welcome to the stage our keynote speaker for the evening, Miss Emily de Rotstein. Emily serves as Executive Director of the Society of G.K. Chesterton, a Catholic lay apostolate. The mission of the Society is to evangelize through education, inspiring people to live joyful, holy lives with G.K. Chesterton as a model of lay spirituality. Emily also served as a board member and founding executive director of the first Chesterton Academy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Together with Dale Ahlquist, she helped launch the Chesterton Schools Network, the largest network of classical Christian schools in the world, which she now leads. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker for this evening, Mrs. Emily de Rotstein.
So great to be here with you tonight. It is really an honor and a joy to be reunited with the incredible students, staff, faculty, and board of Chesterton Academy of Orlando just a few weeks after the historic Yaz Prize National Roadshow kickoff. And I want to thank you, students, for hosting that remarkable event and for helping convey the joy and the impact of Chesterton Academy to our distinguished guests from across the country. They were so very impressed. I have to tell you, that day was one of the highlights of my journey with Chesterton, my Chesterton story. And in fact, the Chesterton story is the theme of my talk this evening. Tonight, I want to connect the story of Chesterton Academy of Orlando to the broader apostolate that unites us, the Chesterton Schools Network. I want to help explain why schools like this are spreading across the country and around the world, and my hope is that you'll leave tonight with the understanding that what you are building here in Orlando is not simply a school. You are building a movement. So, as you just heard, by way of background, the Chesterton Schools Network is the educational initiative of the Society of G.K. Chesterton. We are a worldwide lay apostolate established by Archbishop Bernard Hebda in the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis, and our mission is simple. We exist to evangelize through education. We help people live holier, happier lives, inspired by the example of the great English writer and Catholic convert, G.K. Chesterton. Now, people often ask me, how can G.K. Chesterton, who lived 100 years ago, still change lives today? Well, I'd like to share how he changed ours. I want to take you back about 18 years ago. I was on the telephone with my dear mother, and I was filled with hope. My husband and I had just discovered a brand new high school for our son that seemed like an answer to prayer. It offered a rigorous curriculum and promised an education that would help our son grow in virtue. Now, I confess to my mom that I had always felt a little shortchanged by the education I had received back in the 1980s. But this school reminded me of the outstanding education she had received in the 1950s, when it seemed standards and expectations for high school students were so much higher. Oh, and this school was named after some English writer, G.K. Chesterton. Now, we weren't Catholic, but my mom didn't miss a beat. She said, "Oh, G.K. Chesterton, yes, the Father Brown Mysteries. He's a wonderful writer. You know, a little Aristotle, a little Aquinas. This will be good for your son. You should send him to Chesterton Academy." And that conversation completely changed our lives. That fall, we became a Chesterton Academy family, and we all fell in love with learning. We leaned in attentively as our son regaled us night after night with stories from ancient history, the rise and fall of civilizations, heroes, saints, lessons we had long forgotten or perhaps had never received ourselves. And slowly, something unexpected also began happening. Through our son's education, we fell in love with the faith as he shared what he had learned in philosophy, theology, at daily Mass. We were becoming catechized through the Chesterton curriculum. We could see our son maturing, connecting with friends, happier, and I have to say my husband and I were happier too. We got to know wonderful families who were living the culture of life, beautiful, joyful Chesterton families. The next year, our entire family was received into the Catholic Church. We came in one by one, and our lives were transformed, our marriage strengthened, and our family united. And later, we learned that we are among the hundreds and hundreds of converts whose path to Rome has been paved in part by G.K. Chesterton. And we later discovered so many of those Chesterton families had been praying for us and for our conversion. And those Chesterton families are still among our very dearest friends. And one of those friends happens to be Dale Ahlquist, president of the Society of G.K. Chesterton, the co-founder of that first Chesterton Academy. It was Dale who crafted the Chesterton curriculum based on G.K. Chesterton's philosophy of education, that thinking means connecting things, that students benefit from a broad education, not early specialization, and that the faith should be at the heart of every subject. Now, working with Dale, if you know him, has been one of the great privileges of my life, and it's just been absolutely a blast. He invited me into this remarkable, joy-filled adventure, bringing souls to Christ through education. So at first, together, we were focused on growing that first school, which started with 10 students around a single table and slowly attracted more wonderful students from our little town. But almost immediately, parents from around the country began calling us. Many of them had heard Dale on EWTN, and they wanted to know if we could help them start a Chesterton Academy in their own community. They were really attracted to the model of faithful, affordable classical education powered by parents. Those requests just kept coming in, they kept flooding in, and after much discernment and prayer, we packaged up our curriculum, tools, and templates, and we launched the Chesterton Schools Network. And those first schools began in 2014, Buffalo, New York, Rochester, New York. Each year we added a few more schools, Chicago, Milwaukee, Annapolis, Philadelphia. And then we hit the proverbial business inflection point. Our inflection point was COVID. Demand absolutely surged as parents became determined to take responsibility for their children's education. And Chesterton Academy of Orlando was one of the 11 courageous schools that began their startup journey right during that time. In the midst of a global pandemic, they trusted God and pressed ahead. You, Chesterton Academy of Orlando, are part of the Chesterton Schools Network, a very important part of that story. So where are we today? There are now more than 100 members in the Chesterton Schools Network worldwide. We have 71 schools operating, and more than 30 are preparing to open over the next 2 years. In addition to the United States and Canada, we have schools and startup teams in Argentina, Brazil, Nigeria, Japan, Australia, Italy, and Sierra Leone in West Africa. And they're all drawing on the same beautiful integrated classical curriculum and program of formation. I have to tell you that recent Yaz Prize is another inflection point in the Chesterton story. The $1 million investment will help us grow to 150 operational schools by 2030 and lay the foundation for the next decade. 1,000 schools and 100,000 students worldwide by 2040 to meet the incredible demand unleashed by school choice here in the United States and the growing interest that we see worldwide as we are witnessing remarkable signs of revival in the Catholic Church. People are flooding back to the faith, and we are here for them. This has truly become a global grassroots movement of parents working in service of the church to renew Catholic education in our time. So, I bet you wonder, what are our alumni doing today? Where are those students? Those alumni are fanned out across the world, studying at the colleges and universities of their choice, working across every profession, entering the trades, serving in the military, going on mission, getting married, starting families. And then we have the fruit of vocations. Just a few stories for you. I love to show this photo. This is the very, very first day of school at the first Chesterton Academy in the Twin Cities, fall of 2008. We started that school with 8 freshmen and 2 sophomores. I always tell people, keep your eye on that handsome, young, smiling man in the front row. Our first graduating class had 2 students, a young man and a young woman. Aaliyah was called to the vocation of holy matrimony, and she and her husband will soon welcome their 8th child. The other graduate was that smiling young man in that photo. He is now Father Joseph Barron. Our very first alum is now a priest with the wonderful order of Pro Ecclesia Sancta. He is serving in the Detroit area, where he's been a great inspiration and help to our school there, Chesterton Academy of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Another story for you. Last year, Charles Durrill, class of 2018, was ordained a transitional deacon. He's studying in Rome, and God willing, he'll be ordained up to the priesthood in the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis this spring. And he's pictured here in Rome together with Archbishop Hebda. And to the very, very far left in white, you can spot another Chesterton Academy graduate, Frater Cosmos, a novice with the Norbertines, coincidentally, Charlie's younger brother. So many alumni stories. Therese Hahn is on the bottom left there. She's a graduate from Chesterton Academy of Buffalo, the first school to open in the network. She recently entered the convent of the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration in Canton, Ohio, Mother Angelica's order. And on the top left, we have Frater Titus, or as we know him, or we knew him, Jack, a 2016 graduate, now studying for the priesthood in Rome with the Norbertines. And from that class, we also had my wonderful son, Matthias, who graduated with a degree in philosophy and now works in private sales at Christie's Auction House in Manhattan. And Taryn, who is finishing up medical school here in Orlando and preparing for residency. And I'm so honored to have Taryn and her beautiful, wonderful fiance, Kevin, with us here tonight. They'll be celebrating their wedding. We'll be all together again in 1 month to celebrate your wedding. So congratulations. Thank you for being here. So many incredible alumni out there. What characterizes the Chesterton alumni is a lightness, an incredible work ethic, and a spirit of joy. These are people you want to hire. These are people you want to work with. They are the future of our church, leaders striving for holiness, missionary disciples of Jesus Christ in the everyday world. All right, real quick, what does this all have to do with our patron, G.K. Chesterton, a 6'4", 300-pound, cigar-smoking, gentle giant? Well, if you're not familiar with him, G.K. Chesterton was born in London in 1874. He died in 1936. During his lifetime, he was a celebrated writer, speaker, and thinker, and he shocked the literary society when he converted to Catholicism in 1922. Chesterton foresaw and wrote about the very issues that we struggle with today: the culture of death, the decline of education and the arts, assaults on religion, attacks on the family, and attacks on the dignity of the human person. But there's a great paradox in Chesterton. Despite his prodigious output and his larger-than-life personality, he was a very humble man, and his spirituality was marked by childlike wonder, great joy, and a gratitude for the gift of human life. Chesterton was able to share the truths of the faith with great charity and common sense, and he engaged his opponents with humor, not hostility. He used paradox and playfulness to make his point, not to humiliate, but to enlighten. And his joy was contagious, and it softened hearts. This is exactly what is needed to evangelize the culture of today, and this is how we are forming our students. Bishop Barron calls G.K. Chesterton the saint for the new evangelization, and we take that very seriously. We truly believe our patron is interceding for us as we witness visionary, courageous pioneer families around the world coming together in prayer and with great faith, perseverance, and an entrepreneurial spirit work to make this exceptional formation a reality for students in their communities. What's happening here and what's happening all around the world through this grassroots movement is no short of a miracle. I'll leave you with a message from Dale Ahlquist. He says, "This growing network is part of a revival in education at the grassroots level that is already starting to restore truth, goodness, and beauty to a world that is starving for it. We have begun rebuilding civilization, even as it crumbles around us." Tonight, you are part of this story. You are helping build a school that is forming joyful leaders, faithful families, and future saints. You are helping rebuild Catholic education for the next generation. It's been 18 years since I started my Chesterton journey, since that fateful phone call that I had with my dear mother. And I am filled again with joy this evening because my mom is here with us, seated with my wonderful husband, Ness. Mom, thank you. Mom, thank you again for encouraging our family to choose Chesterton. You changed our lives. And thank each of you for your incredible support of Chesterton Academy of Orlando and for helping us build this great worldwide movement. May God bless you, and may Mary, cause of our joy, pray for us. Thank you.